All right, let's get right into it. Today, we are going to break down the exact formula for those insane viral Free Fire edits. You know the ones. We're talking about turning your regular old gameplay into a high-energy masterpiece that can just blow up and get millions of views.
And that's the big promise, right? This editing style is everywhere right now, just dominating YouTube Shorts, Instagram, you name it. But here's the best part, and this is really important. It's not about being some pro-level player. Nope, it's about being a smart editor. You don't need flawless gameplay to make something that looks absolutely incredible.
So here's what we're gonna do. We're walking through the whole process step by step, from getting your clips recorded to that final polished export. Everything you need to do this yourself. Okay, so first up, let's look at the basic formula. Okay, so before we dive into all the little details and settings, let's just zoom out for a second and look at the big picture. How are these things actually put together? It all boils down to these 5 key stages. Super simple. We start with your raw footage, straight from the game, and we're gonna build it up layer by layer until we have that final polished video that's ready to go viral.
All right, first things first. You've heard it a million times, but it's true. A great edit always starts with great source material. So let's talk about how to get the exact clips you're gonna need for this style. So the first thing we've gotta get is that killer opening shot. You know, those super cinematic emote clips that hook people in from the very first second. Now, you're going to want to follow these steps exactly. Why? Because this is how you get that clean, pro-looking shot without all the game buttons and menus cluttering up the screen. It gives you a perfect, clean slate to start your edit.
Okay, now for the actual combat clips. What you're really looking for is a lot of movement. Make it dynamic and fast. Using glue walls is a great way to add action. And of course, you want to get those clean headshots. But don't stress. You don't need a 10-minute montage of perfection. Just 2 or 3 really solid headshot clips is all it takes. Okay, clips are recorded. Now for the fun part. Fire up Capcut because we're about to dive into the absolute core of this style. That's super dramatic, silky smooth, slow motion. So you're gonna open the curved editor, and I know, it looks kind of intimidating at first, right? But trust me, it's super simple. All you're doing is adding a beat, a little point, right where you want the slow-mo to start. Then you just grab the next point and pull it down. That's it. And oh, this is super important. Make sure you enable better quality. It's a game changer for how smooth it looks. Now, for your headshot clips, we're gonna do it a little differently. The trick here is to isolate that tiny little moment right after the headshot. You split the clip, slow down just that middle piece, and boom, you've emphasized the action perfectly. The key, though, is to keep it short and sweet, like 1 or 2 seconds max. That's what gives it that punch. All right, our speed ramping is locked in and looking good. Now it's time to add some visual flair. We're gonna start layering on the effects that make these videos really pop. You know, that awesome glowing look? Okay, so the effect you're looking for is called glowing doodles. This is what gives you that clean, glowing outline. Now, listen up, this is important. You only want to apply this to the slow motion parts, not the whole video. Here are the exact settings you need to dial in. And a little pro tip, match the color of the glow to your character's outfit. It looks way cleaner. Let's talk transitions. It's tempting to put them everywhere, but don't. The trick is to use something like Tremble Zoom only between major scene changes. So think about going from your intro emote to the first gameplay clip. That's a perfect spot. It keeps the flow clean and professional instead of messy and chaotic. Okay, we're in the home stretch inside Capcut now. Let's talk about the final adjustments, specifically the color. This is what's going to give your video that really distinct, cinematic feel and tie it all together. First up, you're going to grab the HDR2 effect and drag it over your entire timeline. And here are the magic numbers. These settings are exactly what you need to get that super rich, high contrast look that all the best edits have. And we're not done with color yet. On top of the HDR effect, you're going to add the orange-blue filter. Again, put this over everything. Then you just make these little tweaks to the contrast, exposure, and sharpening to really dial in that final look. Okay. Here is a massive pro tip, and this is all about pacing. Go back to all of your regular speed gameplay clips, the ones not in slow-mo, and speed them up to 1.4x. What this does is it creates this insane contrast between the super fast action and those dramatic slow-motion kills. It's a huge part of the formula. All right, we're almost there, but the final step. This one actually happens outside of Capcut. And honestly, this is the secret ingredient that takes a video from just good to absolutely amazing. This is how you get that buttery smooth, high-end look. So you're going to use an app called Motion Ninja. And here's the wild part. It's a two-pass technique. You export your video from Capcut, bring it into Motion Ninja, and apply motion blur. Easy enough. But then you export that video and you bring the newly exported version back into Motion Ninja and apply the exact same motion blur settings a second time. I know it sounds weird, but this layering is what creates that incredibly fluid, satisfying look. It's the secret sauce. And just like that, that's the whole blueprint. From getting the right clips in-game to mastering that speed curve, all the way to that secret two-pass motion blur, you now have the complete formula. So you've got the techniques, you've got the settings, you've got the pro secrets. The only question left is, what are you going to create first? It's your turn. Take this blueprint and go make something incredible.